Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Astara and I'm an angelic communicator and clairvoyant. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something that's been affecting the Twin Flame Collective in a big way. I don't think many people are talking about this, but it's definitely been coming up in the readings I've been doing and also the other parts of the Twin Flame journey that I've been experiencing. So it's really looking at what has gone on in the twin flame connective the collective that creates like a pattern. And what I've been noticing is there is a lot of ongoing interference that has targeted twin flames in particular and targeted personal power, their sense of identity, and even their ability to connect with each other in a healthy way. Because one of the things we hear about, I'm just going to put my crystal between me and the computer because I can feel it coming into my space. One of the things, that's most popular in the Twin Flame Collective is to know when. When is this going to happen? When are we going to come together? When? And this is always the answer is divine timing. And I've also noticed there are touch points where we really think that the twins will come into union and then they don't. They just simply don't. And so this is really problematic. And when I ask for guidance on this, I'm shown how much interference there is. And I want to talk about this because often it's a kind of collective situation where there is wounding in the collective around the masculine feminine principle. It's often deep issues around trust. And then the actual twin flame themselves is having to work through their own personal history, which is often chock full of often very abusive relationships, karmic relationships, and situations that just haven't served them. They may have made resilience and strength, but actually it's created a lot of wounding. So this isn't fear-based talk. This is actually bringing awareness. It's quite important that we're just aware what we're dealing with so that we can see the patterns really clearly and then we can begin to work with them to clear them. So I'm seeing that this interference often comes in quite early in the life, and we kind of see that these twin flames usually have some sort of early childhood trauma. They face extraordinary interference as time goes on with girlfriends, with love relationships, sometimes with parental wounding, mother wound, father wound, like more than most people. And when the masculine, they often have trouble with addictions and karmic partners, and the feminine can also have karmic partners, false relationships, manipulative energy, and even direct spiritual psychic attack. So these forces are designed to keep the masculine and feminine sort of distracted in a way and out of union, not just physical union, but also energetic and spiritual union. Because what happens when somebody is traumatized, they begin to shut down and numb themselves out. And then when you begin to meet your twin flame again in this life, you're activated. So you begin to work on all that core wounding. But the reason these separation periods are so long, like years and years and years for some people, is because there is so much wounding to clear. So, what about this idea that our twins, as twins, we're going to unite in truth and that the light is powerful enough to shift entire realities? And that's one of the reasons why there is so much resistance to twin flames coming together. I want to talk a little bit about the masculine as experience because a lot of the work I'm doing is with the divine feminine, where we're looking, and waiting and working out what's going on with the masculine. I do work with masculines too, just so you know. I have worked with the runners in the twin flame dynamic, but that's a kind of different path. But I just want to show you some of the insights I've had. So many of the divine masculines I have been privy to working with have been placed in situations since childhood where the energy around them has been really distorted, particularly in their receptivity to the feminine. Now, this has gone on anyway because we live in a patriarchy, and also if you're into what influences have taken over our world, we're also looking at maybe reptilian influences from other species, from other planets, where they don't really have a feminine energy. So the feminine has received a huge amount of demonization, kind of suppression, dismissal. And this kind of feeds into the kind of energy that is around a divine masculine as they're growing up. So, mothers or female figures who are wounded and projecting distorted feminine energy, or simply just do not have any feminine energy or divine feminine energy. There is dark feminine energy, distorted feminine energy. You know, you only need to grow up with this kind of energy around you to begin to wonder, well, what is actually healthy feminine energy? Partners and girlfriends who operated from a lot of control, manipulation, or even non-human entities masking as feminine. I have seen that actually in karmic partners, particularly when I've been looking at some particular situations where the feminine, the ex-partner or the karmic partner has just been really about manipulating the masculine into marriage or into taking them for their money or trying to get kids off them or anything that's gone on that's a distorted or a manipulative energy. So we're trying to move away from this, and the divine feminine energy is not about the distortion and the control and manipulation. Often the feminines I'm meeting are just incredible on this journey. They really blow me away with the amount of power and love they have in them. So with the masculines, they often are repeating patterns of conditional love, making them mistrust their deep emotional instinct and their ability to trust intimacy. And I think this is often from a young age. This is why some of the twins are often shown as a kind of player dynamic sometimes. So when the masculine meets his divine feminine and her energy begins to connect with his, there is a natural reconnection and an activation, and her energy begins to naturally clear these distortions. Now, I've noticed also that when I've met other twin flames, you do not have to be their twin flame for them to have an activation or to start clearing their energy. Now, that doesn't mean that that's going to replace your twin or you're going to have a relationship with them, but I have been around people who I know are on a twin flame journey, and when you come into their energy field, you can feel their energy just clearing with just by being around another person in the collective. So when the masculine is meeting his divine feminine, her energy naturally begins to clear and he feels truth. I think there is this instinctual knowing and the pull, but it can also be deeply confusing because it's stirring up old wounds. It shakes up what he thought he knew about love, and it forces him to face all that has been false in his life. So often these masculines are very embedded in the matrix, often they're very successful, or they have something, not always actually. I know a few that aren't successful, but they often have deep core wounding and are unable to recognize the feminine as their mate, really, which is kind of surprising. But this is one of the trials that they go through. Now, from a feminine point of view, I noticed that a lot of the divine feminines have also been through their share of pain, often at the hands of immature masculine energy. And this is men who have disrespected their power, men who have tried to control them or been abusive in some way, or failed to meet any sort of recognition of their power. And they're often been in relationships where their divine gifts were minimized or mocked, and usually have a sort of father wound linked to the masculine having some sort of abusive control or something to do with an anger dynamic where they couldn't control their emotions. So there is a kind of a lifetime narrative that affects the divine feminine, her ability to trust. So we've got like both sides coming on here. Like the masculine is almost unable to recognize his feminine because he's so distorted through a kind of, you know, calculated abuse of his receptors. And the feminine is unable to trust the masculine, even though she recognizes him, because his behavior is often very distorted when she first meets him. So we can see here that when this happens, when they come together, the masculine and feminine, the attraction is undeniable. but the wounds from the past make it very, very hard to concentrate and connect and fully trust the connection. And the masculine is retreating into old patterns, and this can go in a cycles, go over and over and over until he fully clears his energy field of these distorted patterns and begins to stand in his truth and his instincts. So the bigger picture, like this is not random. I really feel that this interference is strategic. I still feel it goes on and it makes the twin flames doubt themselves, and it's designed to delay or prevent the union of these energies. So this is one of the reasons why when you come together as twin flames, you're often trying to work through your core wounding, trying to remove these distortions when you're in separation. And so that when you come back together, there is this connection to divine truth, and that all those distortions are actually giving you an opportunity to transmute and to return to your authentic frequency and really be in your own power. But obviously, the feminine and the masculine are doing it at different speeds. Often the feminine is shown as much further ahead, and the masculine is lagging behind, struggling to get out the matrix. So to move forward on this situation, it's really good to to know that there is a lot of opposition to these unions going on because they are so powerful for the planet. They're so powerful for our consciousness and our awareness and our love frequencies that are here on the planet. So recognize that this is going on, but don't get lost in a kind of blame because that's not going to get us anywhere. It's important to clear your energy field daily through meditation, inner work like energy work, journaling, cord cutting, and allow yourself to really begin to know thyself. Like, it's very important you reclaim your identity piece by piece, remembering who you are before any of these distortions arrived. And for the feminine energy, even though being in situations where your twin is probably repeating these patterns of disrespect, it's important that you begin to hold your power with grace and to know that that is innate in you, and you do not need to force it on anyone, that you can just allow and alchemize in your field anything that comes towards you, and you don't have to accept it either. In fact, I encourage you not to accept bad behavior. It's not good for you or for anyone else. And for the masculines, they have to find a way to reconnect with their receptivity to the feminine energy, the true feminine energy, and begin to trust it when it comes into their lives. Because sometimes they doubt it, sometimes they often, sometimes I've seen that they kind of don't trust their twin. They think that she's a witch and she's put a spell on them. I have to say that the feminine often feels the same way. Like, what has this person done to me? Have they put a spell on me? Because there's just a deep distrust of our own instincts when we come to meet the person that is so resonant with our energy quality. So when both twins reclaim their sovereignty, then this interference loses its grip. And as a collective, I want you to know that we are all working this together. So everything, every piece of this puzzle that you're able to solve for yourself is helping to break these false narratives for the whole collective. So you are not broken. You are not broken. You are healing and you are remembering, and every false layer that's ever been placed upon you is being stripped away, and every karmic relationship that you've managed to forgive and move on from is just allowing you one more step towards your truth. And so, whether you're able to move forward with your twin, or if you see them struggling in their matrix situation, just know that this is a divinely guided path, and all the power that you are able to reclaim for yourself will help you come into a frequency that will attract what you need into your life. So thank you so much for listening to me. If this resonated with you, I do twin flame readings. Go to earthmotherstarchild.co.uk and have a look, or go to my Instagram and have a look. I do these really lovely workshops on twin flames and divine relationships to help you very practically begin to know what to do and how to work with it. And if you have someone who likes this kind of video and might need it too, more guidance on their spiritual path, please like, share, and subscribe.